The villain edition will be I will keep on doing that. That one will stay the same. I just want to do this because it seems fun. Because I just thought of a brand new quirk, which me thinking of a new quirk means me watching Pokemon and thinking about a name for the quirk of the Pokemon I want to use. And that Pokemon is Greninja quirk, basically. I can create like clones of myself. I'm gonna call the quirk Ninja, even though it's not really a quirk. I mean, Suyu's got the quirk Frog. Monoma's got the quirk Copy. I mean, like seriously, Uraraka has the power of 0 gravity. So I get to have Ninja quirk. So basically, it's basically like Greninja, like Ash's Greninja moveset, except for cut. It's Night Slash, which is like a dark energy blade in my hand. Also, water shurikens. Ash Greninja bond form will not be called Ash Greninja. Just saying. Aerial Ace would just be I could put like water in my hands or something. It's like a waterized, pressurized punch. It's like acrobatic skill. So technically, it's not really like an actual skill. And of course, just trademark water. I'll be right back.
Thanks, buddy. What do you want with Apples? Pizza? Mozzarellas?
Mozzarella. So that's basically it for the quirk explaining. And basically, the water shuriken is like compressed water. He could just create them from his palms. It's like Bakugo's explosion, but it's just water, compressed water into shurikens. He also will have the giant water shuriken once he gets that form. And he can use the giant water shuriken like a Rasen shuriken and hold it up, or he can use like a battle axe, or he could just throw it like Ash's Greninja did during the final fight with Sawyer. I messed up my Sawyer name on Let's Go Pikachu. His name is Sawer. So it's S-A-W-E-R. Yeah, it's S-A-W-Y-E-R. I messed that up. I'm still mad to this date. Let's just get started. So basically, my character is gonna be a slick, good character. Kirishima's got red hair. Denki's got yellow hair. Bakugo's got a weird hair. Deku's got green hair, for God's sake. My character's got blue hair. So, whatever. So basically... Oh yeah, and Suyu also has green hair. Christian will not be able to have like a giant extendo tongue. He could have like these Frebel things, but that's just not gonna be cool. That's gonna look gross. Basically, I'm just gonna go on to the practical exam for UA. What? Fine. I'm coming.
Chris, open it. The front. Warm enough up there? Hold on.
Back to the what if. Basically, every single time, basically, let's just go into the UA practical exam. Christian and, Thing would not know each other. And Deku! Christian being a prodigy of his own abilities, people will call him the ninja okay, no. Basically, during the practical exam, when it starts, he starts to charge up water shurikens in his hands and throws one. People are like, what the? And it cuts right through the robot. Well, actually, it blows up on the robot and it goes. Everyone's like, and Christian jumps straight up in the air, compresses them, makes them into a bigger one, and yeets it, cutting right through the robot even harder. Then he starts bodying robots with his with his sword, his energy sword, just slicing through robots, going, scoring first on the test, saying, "Yeah, well, I definitely got into UA." A week later, he gets the exam thingy back, and passing with flying colors. He's like, "I knew I would pass. There's no way I could have failed that." He says, "I guess these water shurikens could be pretty good if I compress them." He says, whatever. Well, on the first day of UA, and then a couple of days later, something when they do the All Might thing, it's Christian and Midoriya. I call him Midoriya. Christian and Midoriya versus Katsuki, Bakugo, and Tenya Ida. When this match starts, Christian says, "Don't get in my way, alright? I'm taking down Bakugo. He is extremely talented, but I will take him down." Christian sits from a long range and tries to sense him. He finally gets a signal of Bakugo coming. When Bakugo tries explosion, he grabs Bakugo's arm and cuts him right in the stomach, doing a decent cut to Bakugo. Then kicking him back, throwing a water shuriken. Bakugo would explode, but the water shuriken would come right through and hit Bakugo with it, an explosion on him. He says, "Damn it!" Christian would appear right in front of him, saying, "Aerial Ace!" It's a combo that he made up. He punches Bakugo in the air, then kicks him down with his foot, crushing Bakugo onto the ground. Then jumping above him, saying, "Deku, you can fight him if you want." Bakugo would use his giant stun grenade and say, "I'm not done with you." He says, yes, you are. You're done with me." Bakugo says, "How about a stun grenade?" And shoots a giant stun grenade. And says, creating the biggest water shuriken ever. Well, not the biggest, but like it's the size of his hands, a little bit bigger than his hands, and yeets it, cutting straight through the explosion, saying, "Eat that, Bakugo." And also, people, tell me not, this is not even the move for Naruto. The move where he gets, where he turns into that ball, that's Madara's move. But whatever. Back to the what if. So after cutting through Bakugo's explosion, he'd appear right in front of him saying, "Night Slash!" and cut right on him. And cut him straight in the chest, knocking out Bakugo, saying, well, he's done. He rushes up with full speed, and he says, "Deku, I have a plan." He says, "My name is Izuku Midoriya." He says, "Fine, Midoriya. I want you to use whatever your quirk you have, because if you didn't have a quirk, you wouldn't be able to get into UA. Whatever quirk you have, blast down the door. And I'll distract Ida with my full power, and I'll cover the room in water shurikens, so it'll be cloudy." What? My phone's dead. Well, back to the what if. Basically, after absolutely destroying the room with water shurikens, Deku would rush in and tag. It was about to tag it with, but Ida comes in with a giant kick, saying, "Receptro!"
I just gave him to you, Jeff.
Oh, come on. Now let's get back into it. Basically, one day while Christian, well actually after this, well actually no, we're not even done with the fight. After Ida kicks Deku away, Christian would catch Midoriya and say, "Ah!" throwing Midoriya forward, saying, "Go get him!" In his head, Midoriya would say, "Detroit Smash!" hitting Ida right point blank in the stomach with the Detroit Smash. That's a one-hit knockout. He goes, then he would be knocked out. Then, with Midoriya's broken arm, and with his other arm tags in, and Christian would appear right in front of Midoriya, blocking him from hitting the door, catching him, saying, "Let's go!" And when they're about to high-five, Midoriya's arm starts to hit. He says, "Ooh!" He says, "Ah, my arm is super hot, and it's broken." He says, I can fix that. Water shuriken! And just drops a water shuriken. Not the tip, the side. So it's softer and colder. He goes, that feels so good. He says, and there you go. Now go to Recovery Girl. I don't care. When he gets back in, he says, nice job, you beat Bakugo and Ida. He says, thank you. And after all the fights, they announced the most precision. Between the fight between Bakugo and Ida and Christian and Deku and Midoriya, the most unpredictability was Christian. When Bakugo launched his explosion, that was very dangerous. But with Christian's quick thinking, that water shuriken cut right through that explosion and made the power 75% less powerful. Then only the eyes of a pro could see this. The water shurikens were spread around the room, and then when Ida was just about to strike Midoriya, they exploded. Ida still hit him, and Christian caught Deku and threw him, and Midoriya and threw him. And Deku with his strong punch knocked out Ida, and Deku touching it. So, there is some unpredictability by these two. He says, congratulations, he says. Christian says, Midoriya's not here. He's in the nurse's office. He broke his arm. He says, basically, a couple of weeks later, when they're about to go into the edge time for the USJ, they start to talk about who's the strongest in the class. Kirishima says Todoroki, Bakugo, and Christian, and they say, how about in battle strategy? But Kirishima says Christian probably with that smart strategy in that battle against Bakugo and Ida. He says, why thank you, Kirishima. He says, I'll make sure in the sports festival that I will go easy on you. He says, what? No, go hard on me then. He says, isn't your quirk called hardening? And he goes, wow. So when they arrive at the USJ, and then also Suyu does her thing where she says, well, Bakugo will never make any friends because of his terrible attitude. Bakugo says, what'd you say? And Kaminari says, well, we technically just met you and we know your personality is flaming hot garbage. I don't even know what else he said. He says, you're gonna regret the day you applied to this school, you loser. And he says, I don't even know why you applied, Bakugo. Literally, probably none of the teachers are gonna be able to handle you because of your hyper attitude. He says, oh yeah, has anyone thought of a hero name yet? Bakugo says, I've thought of one for the nerd. Deku! He says, that has a ring to it. For Deku. Even though, I mean, Deku, Izuku. I don't really know where you got the de from, like, I don't know where you got that from, Bakugo. He says, what about you, Bakugo? He says, King Explosion Murder. He says, yeah, they're definitely not gonna allow that. I have an idea for you. He says, who's your favorite hero? He says, All Might? And he says, what's the explosive that is really explosive? He says, Dynamite? He says, boom. There's a hero name, buddy. He says, Dynamite? That sounds good. He says, hey, Kirishima, who's your favorite hero? He says, Crimson Riot. He says, why don't you be Red Riot? He says, where do you come up with this? And he says, how about you, Kaminari? Hemingway or Charge Bolt? Which one do you choose? He says, Charge Bolt. He says, yeah, it does go much more with your quirk. And he just asks everyone in the class and gives them good hero names. When he gets to Momo Yaoyorozu, he says, create team? She says, fine, that sounds fine. And he says, Suyu, how about Froppy? And basically I was like, dang, this kid is giving everyone hero names that they like. And he says, and Deku says, have you thought of hero name for you? He says, no, never. My quirk doesn't really have anything that goes with that. He says, I don't know. He says, how about... And he says, I don't got one. He says, yeah, no one has one. For me, mine, I do have one ideas, but I think I used all those ideas. No! He thinks to himself, what can my hero name be? Alright, well, you've just traumatized me with your foul language. Basically, he asks Mineta what his hero name might be. He says, I don't know. He says, how about grape? Something to do with a grape. I mean, your quirk is based off of something that looks like a grape, except grapes are much smaller. He says, so what's your quirk? He says, my quirk is pop off. I have these things on my head, these balls on my head that I can throw. He says, oh, then why not grape juice? I don't know. I don't give a crap what your name is. I couldn't think of any. You guys, everyone else knew my ideas, so I didn't know what to say. He goes, I'm freaking out. And he goes, Kirishima says, stop thinking about this. He says, you basically just gave us the best hero names that go with our quirks. I'm pretty sure we're good. He says, yeah, you guys are good. I don't got a damn thing. He says, we have so much time. He goes, but not enough. They go, everyone in the bus starts yelling, ah! He says, about 10 minutes later, he finally calms down and they make it. He goes, basically, when they arrive, the villains would attack. He'd say, so these are the weak villains. He says, hey Aizawa, are we supposed to stay back here, or can we join? He says, you guys stay back here. He says, too late. And says, Kagabushi! Creating about 50 double team clones. They all rush, going, bodying most of the villains. He creates a cut blade and then starts cutting through all of them, going, ah! Power! What are these? Oh. Basically after defeating all the small villains and the clones are all there, he says, well, I guess there's bird brain over there, literally. He goes, everyone in the class is like, he just took down all those villains. He says, well, I've basically beaten more villains than a normal pro hero would. Then the Nomu would rush at all the clones, beating them all to death, until they finally all poof. And he goes, shoot, that thing is insane. I think I'm gonna push the nerve. He throws 2 water shurikens that don't really do a lot. He says, damn. He starts dodging all the Nomu hits until he's hit by one, sending him flying into the staircase, breaking through it, hitting the wall of the staircase. He says, shoot. After basically after Kurogiri separates them all, Aizawa has to go head to head with Shigaraki and Nomu. Well, 13 gets absolutely wrecked. Christian gets sent all the way, gets sent to the water, and he says, "Oh, I'm awesome in water," he says, and dives straight in, and says, "Woohoo! Yeah!" Swimming at top speeds, going. He sees a villain and headbutts him super hard, saying, he says, but then one villain comes from behind and grabs him by the mouth. He goes, "Frick, I can't do anything." So you would come behind and defeat the villain. He says, he gives a thumbs up, and the four of them would go and body most of the villains. Then he'd get back up. Once they get over there and watching the villain, he says, and also once All Might is there and is probably gets wrecked. But we're not gonna go over that yet. When they arrive, I keep on messing this up. Basically, when All Might arrives, he starts fighting the Nomu. Then Bakugo Todoroki would come in and start bodying Kurogiri. Christian says, "I can't do anything, I'm just stuck here." He says, and then a vortex of water surrounds him. His eyes are red. He's got his blue hair has a streak in it. Has a red streak in it. And there's a water streaking on his back, but it's hard to see. He goes, rushing at full power. Naruto running, by the way. Going, kicking the Nomu straight in the face. Breaking off its beak. And saying, absolutely killing and destroying the Nomu. When Shigaraki tries to touch him, the water would immediately blast him away, and he goes, creating a night slash, coming in and slicing the Nomu, going, then out of nowhere he says, Aerial Ace! And kicks the Nomu into oblivion, going, then falling out of the form, falling to his knees, knocking himself out. That one attack. Then Tomura Shigaraki would run super fast, about to decay him, going, All Might would appear right behind, in front of him saying, Detroit Smash! Punching him right in the face, sending him flying into Kurogiri's warp. He goes, no! He says, is he okay? He says, he's fine. Basically, when Christian and Midoriya wake up, they're both in the hospital somehow. Basically, when this happens, he says, Midoriya, how did you get hurt? He says, well, the villains came back when you were knocked out, for like 2 seconds to try and retrieve you. But then, I came in with the Detroit Smash, and broke my arm. He says, you need to stop with the arm breaking. Soon you're gonna die. He says, what? What do you mean? Can't Recovery Girl heals it? And he says, yeah, healing takes energy. He says, and then he takes a line from Recovery Girl, and it's like Recovery Girl is right next to him, but she's really not, and says, that's not my problem, just how the body works. And Deku says, you sound a lot like Recovery Girl. He says, well, I mean, I come here almost every single day. He says, why? He says, because Recovery Girl needs ice packs, and I'm the one here with a kind of a water quirk. He says, so she needs water to freeze into ice, so then she can take care of other students. So, that's why I'm here almost every single day. And he says, what was that formula you used? He says, I don't know, I was just feeling useless. So then I ran out Lashley, and then all kinds of water formed in my eyes, and I wasn't even paying attention. I don't even know what happened. A couple of weeks later, I would announce a sports festival. He says, "Oh yeah," and they're like, "Woohoo!" And that guys is it for part 1. 4000 MHA.